Hey, let's cover the review for linear percent and exponential modeling. Work through these problems to prepare for your upcoming exam. For word problems, answer incomplete sentences with correct units. For the exam, you're going to round final answers to 1 decimal place, unless the answer involves money, and then you'll round to 2 decimal places. I don't believe that I've included this on your exam. It's just something that you're going to need to already have known. Section 1, linear functions in real world modeling. Make sure you have a 3x5 note card, and you can use only one side of one 3x5 note card. I would highly recommend that you use this, and then I'll give you more along the way as we work through them. A local gym in Jamestown charges a flat monthly sign-up fee of $25, plus a $5 fee for every group fitness class attended. And it says write a function given C of X that represents the total monthly cost. So that's what the function is going to represent for X classes. So X is going to have to do with the number of classes. So the function will be C of X. If you use F of X, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to take points off for that. The initial value or the consistent flat rate is $25 plus $5 per group class, $5 per class. So there is your function. All I'm looking for on that. If a member has a budget of $80 for the month, how many classes can they attend? Well, if X is classes, we're going to be solving for X's, and $80 is their budget. So that is going to be the total monthly cost. And so where the C of X is, I'm going to put the 80 and then bring down everything else and solve for X. Subtracting 25 from both sides. It's like I eat millimeters. All right. 80 minus 25 is 55. Bring down the 5x. 5 is multiplied to x, so we're going to divide both sides by 5. And x is equal to 11. All right. How many classes can they attend? This is a word problem piece you need to answer in sentence form. The member or they can attend 11 classes. And that's what I'm looking for. A tech charges a $60 diagnostic fee to visit a home, plus an hourly rate for repairs. If a 3-hour job costs a total of $225, what's the tech's hourly rate? Okay, well, the total or ending value is equal to, I'm sorry, I'm doing this differently. Same thing. So F of X is going to be the total cost. B is their flat rate or their fee, their diagnostic fee. And then they're going to have an hourly rate, which is M, it's the hourly rate. And then X is the number of hours. That is not a hashtag, that's number of hours. All right, so we can write a function. F of X is equal to our flat rate, which is 60, plus an hourly rate, which we don't have, and X. All right, the next part says if a 3-hour job, 3 hours is going to be the X. Cost a total of $225. Well, the total cost is F of X. We can now solve for the hourly rate, which is M. Start by solving for M. Subtract 60 from both sides. And I get 165. This is M times 3. I'm not even going to multiply them together. Divide both sides by 3. And I get M is 55. So what was the technician's hourly rate? The tech's hourly rate is, was, will be, pick a verb, don't care. Was, don't forget your dollar sign, $55 per hour. Okay. Remember, you can always pause the video. If I'm going too fast, slow me down. There's different ways to do that. Speed me up, fast forward. The function v of t is equal to 18,000 minus 2,000 t. Represents the value of a piece of equipment t years after purchase. What was the original purchase price? Well, ending price is equal to the B, which is the initial price, and that's 18,000. The original price was, don't forget your dollar sign, $18,000. What is the rate of change, and interpret what it means in this context? I care more about the interpretation than anything. The rate of change is the negative 2,000. It is not the T. The negative 2,000 is the rate of change. For your interpretation, well, what is it representing? The value of the equipment is decreasing by 2,000 now. How often? T years per year. The problem is, what's our unit for 2,000? It has to do with the value, so dollars. And there's your answer. I'm looking for decreasing $2,000 per year. Yes, I want the rest of the sentence. Those are the big dogs I'm looking for. The 2000 census found that the city of Olean had a population of 15,315. And in 2025, it is estimated to have a population of 13,614. Assuming this represents a constant change, find the constant rate of change. Well, that is just y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1 given 2 points. Given 0.1, x1, y1, and 0.2, x2, y2. So I'm going to take these 2 points. Remember, time is always your input. So time would always be your x. 2,000 for my time. And in 2000, it was 15,315. And then 2025, they're assumed as 13,614. I'm going to label these. All right, and plug it and chug. 13,614 minus 15,315 divided by 2025 minus 2 grand. 3, that's 25. 13,614 minus 15,315 is negative 1,701. Go ahead and divide. Negative 68.04. This is not an answer as far as a final answer. This is going to be used to find final answers. So do not round your rate of change to 1 decimal place. Okay. So it says find the constant rate of change. Here is the rate of change. Write a formula to represent this situation. All right. Well, if f of x is the population, we're going to use b plus or minus x. So the initial amount, the earliest value of the population we have is the 15,315, and that's what you want to use for your b, 15,315. And then the rest is going to be the negative 68.04. I don't have to decide positive or negative. Because this is negative, I have to use this. If there's no sign in here, it would be plus the amount. And then don't forget your per year. And this is your rate of change. So there's my answer. One thing you need to know is the x is the number of years when after the initial value and after the 15,315 happened, and that happened in 2000. number of years after 2000. So if this rate of change is constant, what would the population be in 2030? Okay, well, that's going to be an X thing because X is the number is the years. So 2030 minus the 2000 is 30 years. F of 30, and we're just going to plug in 30 everywhere there's an X. 15,315 minus 68.04 times 30. And I got negative 2041.2. Right. 13,273.8. Now, this would be considered a final answer. I've got it rounded to the 10th place. Am I good to go? Well, what's it referencing? Population. I'm sure we've met some 0.8 people, but in this case, we need to represent people as whole, not fractions. We are not going to round up because that would mean that we have 13,274 people. Not necessarily accurate. So we're going to have to go with this. This is going to be more accurate that it's 13,273. So the population in 2030 would be 13,273. All right. If this rate of change is constant, I think we've assumed it is, what year will the population reach 12.5? Well, if you don't know that your f of x means population, that's going to be a challenge because I'm going to take where that f of x is and put the population that they're asking me about, the 12,500. Put down the rest of the function. And solve for x because that's going to be the number of years that we need to know. Subtract 15,315 from both sides. Negative 2815 equal to negative 68.04 x. Solving for x, we need to divide both sides by negative 68.04. You should get a positive number now. If you do not, you've done something wrong because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And I got 41 point, I don't care. Why don't I care? Because I just need to know the number of years it's been since the year 2000. I don't need the decimal. Now, once we get through unit conversion, we can talk about this and break it down into finding out the exact month, day, all the way down to the second if we wanted to take this entire decimal and find out all the way down to the second of when it hits that population. But I just asked the year. So the population will reach 12,500 in the year 2041. All right, percents. So the one you're going to use for all of this, I guess I told you percents equals part times, or part equals percent times whole, and it's all those. This we've used as well. And we're going to use this for the exam especially. If you have f of x is equal to P1 plus or minus R. This is your ending value. P is your initial or starting value. And R is your percent, but in decimal form. All right, a local boutique is having a sale where everything is 30% off. Make sure you put this on your note card. If a jacket is marked at $110, what is the price after the first discount? The discount, so we're going to be subtracting. So the ending value, the price, is going to be taking the initial amount, 110, times 1 minus the percent. The percent is 30. 30 divided by 100 is 0.3. So this is going to be 110 times 0.7. And that's $77. Question was, what is the price after the first discount? The price after the discount, first discount, is, was, will be, pick a verb. Don't forget your dollar sign, $77. You're a loyalty member. You have a loyalty member coupon for an additional 10% off your purchase. What is the price now? Okay. Well, same concept, FX. Now your new initial value is not 110. We're going to go with the price that you just found, which is $77, because that 10% comes off 77, not the 110. And it's a coupon, so it's 1 minus the 10%. 10 divided by 100 is 0.1. All right, 77 times 0.9 is 69.3. This is the price. What is the price now? The price now is, was, will be, dollar sign 69.30. Two things that can really mess up this issue for you. You can lose a point here for not having your unit, here for not giving me the zero, taking up the second place. We're in America, so we always have to round to 2 decimal places if you're going to round. And that's my answer. If the local sales tax is 7.5%, what is the final total cost? So again, f of x, we're going to take the new price, $69.30, and we're going to add sales tax. You always have to add, we're going to add sales tax. 7.5 divided by 100 is 0.075. Just cleaning it up. Makes it easier to calculate, fewer mistakes. 69.3 times 1.075 is 74.4975. Now we have to round to the second decimal place because it's money. So that's my rounding digit. The 7 is my test digit. Because it is greater than 5, I add 1 to my rounding digit and these go away. So this becomes a 0 carried 5 and $74.50. So the final price, or the final total cost, you can use those words, is, was, will be, don't forget your dollar sign, $74.50. Always go to that second decimal place. All right, a retail worker earns $18.50 per hour if 15% is deducted for taxes and insurance. What is their actual take-home pay? Take-home pay is their $18.50, and it's 1 minus the 15%. 15 divided by 100 is 0.15. And this is $18.50 times 0.85. $15.725. There's our rounding digit because it's money. There's our test digit. Because our test digit's got a 5 there, we're going to add 1 to our rounding digit, making this 15.73. The actual take-home hourly pay, or take-home pay, go with that, take-home pay is, was, will be $15.73 per hour. Looking for dollars, rounding to 2 decimal places, and per hour. Of course, I want the rest of the sentence. right. An employee receives a 4% cost of living raise. If their new salary is $46,800, what was their salary before the raise? This is the same exact question, basically. They received it. Oh, no, they have a new salary. Okay, so the new salary is equal to the old salary or initial, and then they get a raise, so it's 1 plus the rate in decimal form. So old salary is 46.8. We don't know. I'm sorry, new salary is 46.8. Old salary is P. And then it's 1 plus 4%. 4 divided by 100 is 0.04. So this becomes 46.8 equals P times 1.04. Divide both sides by 1.04. And the original salary is 45,000. What was their salary before the raise? Their salary before the raise was 45,000. Do not forget your dollar sign. Okay. Now let's talk exponential growth and decay. Use f of x is equal to make sure this is on your note card. All right. A vintage comic book is valued at $450 and it increases in value by 8% every year. Write an equation that models its value v of t after t years. Okay. Again, you can use f of x and x. I don't care. V of t is the initial value. So f of x, same thing as v of t. The initial value is p, so $450. It increases in value, so 1 plus. The rate is 8%. 8 divided by 100 is 0.08. And it's every year, so it gets an x at the top for the exponent. Do not leave it like this. It's going to make my hair under my nose twitch a little bit and my hair on my head stand up. And then I'll have to take points off because it makes me crazy. Please math 1.08 to the x. There's your answer. Now, you need to understand that the v of t is the value and the x is the number of years, or it should be a t. I'm so sorry. The t is the number of years. All right, what will the comet be worth in 10 years? So that's number of years is t. So v of 10, everywhere there's a t, you need to put a 10. All right, and I just put everything in the calculator. 450, parenthesis, 1.08, parenthesis, caret 10 equal. $971.516. I went one extra decimal place because it's money, right? It's the value is money. So I need to know what if I'm rounding or not. This is my rounding digit. This is my test digit. Because it is greater than 5, I'm adding 1 to my rounding digit. So it becomes 971.52. Question was, what will the comet be worth in 10 years? In 10 years, the comic will be worth, don't forget your dollar sign, $971.52, $971.52. All right. Next one. Population of town is 15,000. It is shrinking by 3.5% annually. Write a function that represents the population. You're going to use the same function, exponential. Why? Because it's percent. Notice I don't say anything about exponential here or here. Just like on the exam, I won't either. You're going to need to know that because it's a percent, it's exponential. All right. So P of t The initial value is 15,000. It's shrinking, so minus 3.5%. So 3.5 divided by 100 is 0.035, and it's annually, so that's just an X at the top. Same thing as per year. Now, what I need you to do here is please clean this up. Math the math. 1 minus 0.035 is 0.965. You put the whole thing down there. Do not round that at all. It is not to be round ever, ever. Okay, this is just creating our function. Now, with this function, you need to know that the P of T is our population. And actually, this should be a T again. This is the habit. T is the number of years. What will the population be in 6 years? So number of years is T, so P of 6 is 15,000, 0.965 to the 6. In your calculator, you're going to type in 15,000, parentheses, 0.965, close parenthesis, caret 6 equals. Make sure if you do not know the calculator function pieces that you put that on your note card. Whatever you need to support yourself, put it on your note card. I don't care what you put on your note card. $12113.095. Now, this is population. Okay. I planned it in case it was money because I forgot what we were doing. All right. It's population. This is our final answer. It's not money, so we're supposed to round to the 10th place, right? However, we're talking about people. So if we're talking about people, this is our rounding digit, and there's no rounding that ever happens with people. You just leave the number you have there. So let's just write our sentence. The population in 6 years will be 12,113. All right, a $2,000 investment grows by 2% every quarter. Now, I know I haven't done any every blank years, but I'm telling you now, on the exam. So make sure you're supporting yourself by your exponentials. I'm going to rewrite my exponential function here. If it's every 3 years, or every 6 years, or every 12 years, your exponent should be x divided by whatever that years is. That goes in the exponent, okay? But because we're dealing with every quarter, how often does that happen in a year? Well, think of a 4 quarters in a dollar, there's 4 quarters in a year. So my exponent is going to be 4x because it happens 4 times in a year. My function is f of x. My initial investment is $2,000. It is growing, so plus 2%, 2 divided by 100 is 0.02 to the 4x, because it's every quarter. Clean this up. Do not leave it like this. Make my eye twitch. There, that's pretty. Look how pretty that is. Okay. How much will be in the account after 5 years? All right. Well, X is the number of years. F of X is the amount that will be in there. So we're looking for F of 5. Now, oh, this should be a 5. Here's an issue I see. When you're putting this in the calculator, 2,000 open, 1.02 close, caret. When you get to that exponent, I don't care if it's your x divided by 3, I don't care if it's your 4x, I don't care what it is. If it's more than one number, you need to open a parenthesis and put 4, in this case, times 5, close parenthesis equals. I should not give you broccoli. Oh my gosh. Go away. You stink. Stop it. I'm working. 2,000. Close, caret, 4. Nope, nope, parenthesis. 4 times 5, close, equal. All right. So 2971.894. I knew it was money this time. Here's my rounding digit, the 9. Here's my test digit. It's less than 5, so I don't need to worry about it. This will be in the account in 5 years. Dollars time, $2,971.89 will be in the account. Account after 5 years. That's it. All right. Interpreting functions, tables and graphs. Now, I don't have a graph on this review. Go into your homework, work on the graphs if you struggled with them. Because there will be a graph, there'll be one of each of these along with a table one and a graph. So given the function h of x equals 2x minus 5, evaluate h of -3. Well, notice the -3 is taken the place of an x. So that means everywhere in this function, you should replace x with -3. Two times -3. That 2 is multiplied to x, so you have to multiply them. Minus 5, which is -6 minus 5, -11. So h of -3 is equal to -11. People always ask me if they need to write sentences. I don't know what sentence you'd write. That is a sentence, actually. You're telling me what you're evaluating h of -3. Now let's determine x when h of x is 15. So where the h of x is, you're going to substitute the value they're giving for it. So 15 equals, and then you're going to write the rest of the function and solve for x. In solving for x, we're going to get rid of the 5 first, adding 5 to both sides. 2 is multiplied to x. We're going to divide both sides by 2, and x equals 10. So these are your answers. You can either write x equals 10, boom, I'm done, or you can write h of 10 is equal to 15. I will accept either of those. If you write both, you're not getting extra points. Just write one, okay? Whichever one. I find this one, you make fewer mistakes, so go with that. The function S of t represents the number of shovels in stock at a hardware store t days after a snowstorm. Interpret the meaning of S of 5 equals 12. Well, that t is being replaced with a 5, right? So what does t mean? T is the days after a snowstorm. So 5 days after a snowstorm. And what does S of t mean? Represents the number of shovels in stock. There are, how many? 12. 12 shovels in stock at a hardware store. That's it. All right. Use the table below for the function, k of t. So we've got t and k of t. Since this is k of t, k of 4 means that 4 is replacing the t. So here's what I ask myself. When t equals 4, what's the function? What's k of t? It works every time. When t equals 4, what's the function? Well, it's 2. So k of 4 equals 2. Determine T. So we're going to be looking up here for our answer. Determine T when K of T equals 6. So I ask myself, when K of T equals 6, what is T? So I come along here and I find 6 right there. What is T in that location? It's 8. So you can write T equals 8. Done. Or you can write K of 8 is equal to 6. Booyah. Don't write both. Again, just write one. That's all I'm looking for. All right. The number, and now we're doing absolute and relative change. The number of participants in a community garden went from 40 people last year to 65 people this year. Calculate the absolute change. All right. Absolute change is new minus old. Put it on your note card. Make sure it's on your note card. So the new value is 65. The old is 40. With a change of 15. So what you're going to write, you're not going to write the absolute change is 15. You're going to write the number of participants, and that's all I need. The number of participants. Now, because it is positive, it's increased by 15. Okay. The next one says calculate the relative change. So that's just the absolute change divided by the old value. But then you're going to want to change that to a percent by multiplying by 100. So the 15 divided by the old value of 40 is 0.375. And then we need to change that to a percent by multiplying by 100. Now, to write the sentence, 37.5%. The number of participants, same exact way, the number of participants increased by 37.5%. Okay. You will have one like this next one on your exam. Please be careful. Because students always forget the words. The amount of, put it on your note card. Put it on your note card. The amount of support for a local politician went from 65% to 35% in the last month. What is the absolute change? All right. Remember, absolute change is new minus old. The new value minus the old value. Well, the old value is 65% because it went from 65% to 35%. So 35 has to be the new. So 35 minus 65 is what? Negative 30. Here's how you're going to write what is the absolute change. The amount of support for a local politician. So the support for a local politician. Now, here's where you can say increased or decreased. In this case, it's decreased by 30, not percents. You can't use percent. It will be wrong because relative change is percent. So it has to be 30 percentage points. This is the exact change. It's the exact change, but we can't use percent because that represents an exponential growth or decline versus the percentage points is linear. What is the relative change? Well, the relative change is the absolute change, the negative 30, divided by the old, which is 65, and then we'll multiply by 100. So divided by 65 is negative 0.4615. Let's do that. Equals negative 0.46153. All right, doesn't matter. I'm going to multiply that by 100. I'm going to leave what's in my calculator and just times 100 equals. Now I can round. Now I'm going to write down what I need so I can round. This is not money. This is a percent. So I'm going to have to round to one decimal place. Negative 46.15. So 1 is my rounding digit. 5 is my test digit. Because it is 5, I'm going to add 1 to my rounding digit, and that one goes away. And it becomes negative 46.2. So again, the support for a local politician, you can write exactly the same way. The support for a local politician decreased by 46.2. Now, I didn't write my percent sign. Percent. I do not ever use the negative because that's been replaced by the word decreased. We never say negative 46.2%. That doesn't make sense. Okay, the only other one I want you to add to this is go back into your homework when you and work on the graph portion where it has the tables and graphs and such. So that's the only other thing. And that is under the linear functions. Always open for practice. So that's it. I hope y'all have a great viewing and let me know what questions you have. I'm not going to have time to do the whole review tomorrow during our review time. So please just come with questions.